Hi, this is Daniela, and welcome to Bestie Life, the podcast, where we help you stop burnout now. If you're tired of running on empty, juggling all the things, and wondering when your life is supposed to feel better, you're in the right place. This show is your go-to space for real talk and practical strategies to help you protect your energy, create balance, and actually enjoy the life you're working so hard for. You'll get a mix of solo episodes and honest conversations with guests. My goal is to help you feel less alone, more empowered, and way more in control of your time and energy and well-being. So let's get into it. Hi, and welcome back to Bestie Life with Daniela, the podcast. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found your way. And if you've been listening for a while, thank you for being a part of this space. I don't take it for granted. I know how valuable your time is and truly, truly appreciate it. Since it's the beginning of the year, today's my first episode of 2026, and I'm hoping it's going to feel a little bit different. So instead of diving into one specific tool or strategy to help you with, I want to take some time to pause, to reflect, to look back at what we've talked about over the past year and why it mattered, as well as I want to look ahead at what's going to be coming up, how you can use this next year in a way that's actually going to support your life, not just your to-do list. And while this isn't a New Year, New You episode, which I know I've done before, this is going to be a let's build on what already works and stop repeating what doesn't kind of conversation. So wherever you're listening from, take a breath, settle in, grab your favorite bevy, and let's dive in. So I don't know about you, but every January I feel like we're just told to start over, to grab new habits, new routines, new goals. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting to change, most people skip a really important part, which is stopping to ask, what worked for me last year? What do I want to do more of? What do I need to build on? What drained me? What did I keep pushing through that maybe wasn't meant to be pushed through? So thinking about some of these questions, reflection isn't always about dwelling on the past, but it is definitely about gathering data. Because if you don't slow down long enough to notice your patterns, you're just unfortunately going to recreate them. Same stress, same burnout, just a different calendar. And that's why today isn't about resolutions, it's about awareness. And awareness is where that change is really going to start for you. So when I look back at the episodes that we've shared over the past year, a few clear themes really kept coming up again and again. One of the biggest ones is that burnout doesn't always look like exhaustion. It's not always obvious. It doesn't look like laying on the couch, unable to function. Sometimes it can look like being high performing. I think that was a recent episode that I talked about, as well as, you're always available. You're always saying yes, always telling yourself you'll rest later. And so we talked about some of the quieter signs of burnout, which might be feeling disconnected, being short with the people you care about, losing interest in the things you really used to enjoy. And so if this hits close to home for you this year, you're not alone. And more importantly, nothing is wrong with you. These are signals. They're not failures. They're just signs to be aware of. Another theme that I saw last year was that small shifts matter more than big overhauls. Change doesn't have to be dramatic to be effective. We talked about 10-minute time blocks, micro habits, tiny boundaries that actually work and stick. Because most people don't burn out from one big thing. They burn out from hundreds of small things that never get addressed. And so this year hopefully reminded us that consistency is gonna beat intensity every single time. And the third theme is that boundaries are about energy, not just time. And if you know anything about me, you know I love boundaries. It's one of my favorite B words, and they're not meant to be rigid or all or nothing. Boundaries aren't about becoming unavailable or difficult. They're about being intentional with where your energy goes, where you're focusing, and looking at who gets your best energy, what gets your leftovers, and where are you leaking energy without realizing it? Because if you look at those three questions, sometimes it can really hit hard, especially that second one. Who gets your leftovers? Are those really the people you want to be getting your leftovers, or do we need to be shifting our priorities? And so if there's one thing I hope you took from those episodes, it's that boundaries are a form of self-respect, not selfishness. Looking then at fourth theme, it's that connection is part of the solution. I think that surprised a lot of people this year was how much burnout is tied to isolation, even when you're surrounded by people, even in leadership roles, even when you're in a busy stage of life. Having that real connection, not necessarily networking, not small talk, but real moments of feeling seen and supported. That is one of the key things when it comes to coming out of burnout. And if this past year felt lonely in any way, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need more productivity. You need more connection. And so before we look ahead, I want to invite you just to reflect for a moment on some of those questions and themes we just talked about. Now, you don't need to write this down unless that's how you operate. I know I like to write things down just in order to really focus and think about it. But what was one episode or theme that stuck with you within that past year? What one of those do you feel like really hit home? What small change maybe did you actually keep this year? What was a win? Even if it feels like it's too small to count, it's never too small to count. And what's one thing you're ready to stop carrying this year? So there's no pressure to have perfect answers, but just notice what comes up as you continue to hear these themes and questions. Because awareness alone is progress in the right direction. Once you start having that awareness, you're then more primed to start making those changes. So as we move into the new year, the focus of this podcast is going to get even more practical and supportive. And so here's some things I want you to know you can expect in the next year. We're going to go deeper into real life burnout prevention, not just why burnout happens, but really how to spot it early, interrupt it. We're going to continue to keep talking more about resilience, that mental fitness, how to build it without pushing yourself harder, and just how to recover faster when life throws you curveballs. Because I think that's where we can fall out of sync with the things that are working for us. And so how to get back on track. I'm excited to have more conversations around time and energy and capacity, especially for people who carry a lot of responsibility and don't always have the option to slow down completely. We're going to continue to focus on realistic, practical self-care, the kind that fits in the busy lives that you do in micro moments throughout your day, the kind that work on a random Tuesday and not just when you're on vacation or have an hour or long amounts of time. My goal for this year is simplicity, to help you live and work in a way that's going to feel more sustainable, more grounded, and just more like you, more back into yourself with the fun, with some habits, with some kind of hobbies even, to really feel more aligned and in tune, not just with who you are at work, not just with who you are in other roles as a parent, partner, friend, but really within yourself. And so if I could offer one invitation as you step into this year, it would be this. Don't ask, how can I do more? Ask what's actually supporting me. And like I said, I'm on this journey with you as well. I continue to realize that I need to shift and pivot and change things and build on what I'm already doing. One thing I've added as I start coming into the new year is to go back to a simple little hobby. It's paint by numbers, but I've found so much just more patience while I'm doing it, focus while I'm doing it. Even like when I first pick up the paintbrush, I'll notice sometimes even if I wasn't running around, my hand might be shaking a little bit more because I just have that energy, and it really helps me kind of slow down, settle into the moment as I kind of get my hand more steady and it all slows down. And just even I set a timer for 15 minutes to focus on that. And so it's going to take me probably the whole year to finish this picture, but just to find even that 15 minutes to do something different out of the norm. It's a new practice for me. It's a new habit, but to start to see some of those benefits, like I said, of even just my hand physically slowing down. It's not, feeling like it has to keep going and has that energy, is where some of that difference starts to happen. So finding what works for you in that way, finding even paying attention to what drains you quickly, and noticing what could restore you faster than you might realize, faster than you expect, and giving yourself permission to adjust sooner, even if you still feel like you're in a good place, instead of waiting till you're completely exhausted, because you don't need to earn rest. You don't need to justify slowing down, and you don't need a breakdown to make a change. Our goal is to do these changes while you're still doing well, while you're still in a good place, and building on them so that the good parts are outweighing those overwhelming heavy parts. So like I said in the beginning, I am so truly grateful that you're here and that you're part of this community. If you're looking for some more guidance on how to do these things, or if this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who could use a little extra support right now, especially as we're heading into the new year, because this year isn't about becoming someone new. It's about taking care of who you already are and becoming that best version of you. So thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to share all the awesome things I've got coming up this year and talk to you soon. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you got something out of this episode that really made you feel seen, supported, or just a little bit more grounded. If you have any questions or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're up for it, please leave me a 5-star review. That will help more people find the show and join this community. I'll leave you with 2 of my favorite quotes. Alone we may be strong, but together we're stronger. And when we support each other, incredible things happen. So let's keep showing up for ourselves and each other, and maybe even have some fun while we're at it. I'll talk to you soon.